Hello, all my exporters friend engaged in trading business. Do you want to increase your export volume without engaging your working capital? Do you want to increase your sales volume without using your own capital? Do you want to increase your sales and export volume without carrying stock level? If your answer is yes, then I am going to suggest one very good product that is transferable LC for you. Yes, it is a very interesting product for all the traders. Yes, in today's video, we will try to understand the details of transferable LC. What does transferable LC means? What is the advantage of transferable LC? What are the need for transferable LC? What are the risk and cost involved in transferable LC? How does transferable LC work? And what are the points to be considered while dealing with the transferable LC? So we will go into deep and understand each and every aspect of transferable LC. So let me share my screen with you. So here is my screen. We will try to understand each and every aspect of our transferable LC. Let us go. So we will understand today what is transferable LC, what is the need of transferable LC, what is the advantage of transferable LC, risk and cost of transferable LC, how does it work, and important points of transferable LC. So we will start with understanding transferable LC. Transferable LC means a LC that specifically states it is transferable as per UCP Article 38.b. It means that LC has to mention the word transferable unless and until it is specifically mentioned in the LC that it is a transferable. LC will not be considered as a transferable LC. So this word is very important and it should be clearly spelled out in the LC that this LC is transferable. A transferable LC may be made available in whole or in part to another beneficiary, that is second beneficiary, at the request of the beneficiary, that is first beneficiary, as per Article 38.b. It means that LC can be transferred to second beneficiary at the request of the first beneficiary. So we will see if a transferable LC is desired and it is to be established by SWIFT MT700, the field 40A form of LC should be input as irrevocable, transferable, and accordingly, the SWIFT transmission will indicate that the LC is irrevocable and transferable. So if we are trying to transmit a transferable LC in field number 48, in place of form of LC, we need to mention irrevocable, transferable, so that SWIFT transmission will indicate that LC is irrevocable and transferable. When this transferable word will be there in the LC, that means LC is transferable. So next we will see that transferring bank means a nominated bank that transfers the LC, or in a LC available with any bank, a bank that is specifically authorized by the issuing bank to transfer and that transfer the LC. So this is the definition of transferring bank, the bank nominated bank that transfer the LC, or if LC is available with any bank, a bank is specifically authorized by the issuing bank to transfer that, and he does the transfer, then only it will be, that bank will be called transferring bank. So important that it is important that issuing bank must authorize a bank who can act as a transferring bank. An issuing bank may be a transferring bank. Yes, LC can be transferred by LC issuing bank. Transferred LC means a LC that has been made available by the transferring bank to a second beneficiary. So the LC which has been which will be received by the second beneficiary will be called as a transferred LC. So transferable LC is so critical that an entire article, that is Article 38, has been dedicated to it under UCP 600. Therefore, today we will try to understand each and every aspect of transferable LC so that there should not be any ambiguity while dealing with the transferable LC. So this is brief about the transferable LC, transferring bank, and who can transfer that LC. So now we will go into deep and understand that what is the need of transferable LC. But the question is, why do we need transferable LC when normal LCs are already there and people are using normal LC and we are very used to of those LCs? Then where is the need for this transfer LC? Let us understand why this need is there for transferable LC. Normally, a LC is issued in favor of the seller who ships the goods and claim payment under LC. It is typically applicable when seller is the manufacturer of the goods. But when the buyer does business with an intermediary trader who obtains the goods from another source or even several other sources, in this case, the intermediary trader will have to buy the goods before supplying them to the buyer. So when seller is not the manufacturer of the goods, in that scenario, if seller is a trader or intermediary trader, he needs to acquire the goods before supplying them to the buyer. And these traders operate on a narrow margin. They do not carry stocks of goods and they have very limited working capital. So these are the constants. They do not have a working capital facility. They operate on a very narrow margin and mostly they do not carry stocks of goods. Then how can they supply to the buyer? Therefore, they seek a means of finance for their purchase without engaging their own resources. Transferable LC meets the above needs as LC issued in favor of the trader can be used as a means of paying the resources from which the trader obtains goods. So basically, with this transferable LC, first beneficiary, who is basically a intermediary trader, can use this LC for paying the supplier of the goods. So it becomes a instrument which is used for funding the sources from which the trader obtains goods. Under a transferable LC, the final buyer instructs its bank to issue a LC in transferable form in favor of the intermediary trader from whom the goods are bought, known as the first beneficiary. This enables the intermediary trader to request the bank at which the LC is available to transfer it in whole or in part to the trader's supplier, known as the second beneficiary. The value of the parts of the LC transferred to the trader's supplier represents the price that the trader is paying for the goods. The balance represents the trader's profit or margin. So under transferable LC, final buyer will request its bank to issue a transferable LC in favor of intermediary trader from whom the goods are bought. And in turn, intermediary trader will request its bank, who has been nominated to act as a transferring bank, to transfer the LC in favor of actual supplier of the goods, that is second beneficiary. So part of the LC will be transferred towards the supply or payment of the goods, and rest the amount that first beneficiary will keep as a profit margin. The intermediary trader, first beneficiary, could be acting as an agent of the buyer. The agent could be in a better position than the buyer to identify the right source of supply in terms of integrity of seller, quality of goods, adherence to schedule etc. That is why there is a need for transferable LC, because buyer will need this intermediary trader because they can act as an agent. The agent not only identifies the right sources, but also takes care of the procedures and formalities at the supplier's end. So whoever is the actual supplier, ultimate buyer does not have to worry about that, because this intermediary trader will take care of all the formalities part of suppliers also. Further, a single beneficiary may not be in a position to meet the entire requirement of the buyer. Therefore, buyer has to deal with multiple beneficiaries. Transferable LC helps the buyer to avoid the pain of dealing with several beneficiaries, as the agent takes care of the same. For example, buyer requirement is too high, so one supplier will not be able to supply all the goods to him. So he has to approach 4 or 5 suppliers in this regard, and buyer has to open 4 or 5 individual LCs to deal with all the individual supplier. But with this transferable LC, he may open one LC and rest part will be taken care by the intermediate trader, who will transfer this LC to different supplier, and all the suppliers will supply the goods to the ultimate buyer, and intermediate trader will take care of the documents part also, and he is responsible for each and everything. And as a buyer, they can deal only with one first beneficiary, that is intermediate trader. So this is the benefit of transferable LC as far as buyer is concerned. So what are the advantages of transferable LC? It provides security to the trader's supplier for payment, because part of the LC itself is transferred to each supplier. So as a supplier, they will have this comfort that they have got the LC. So this gives them bigger comfort. Each supplier, that is second beneficiary, obtains the right to claim payment directly from the bank at which its portion of the LC is available against presentation of complying documents. So LC has been transferred now. Second beneficiary has got the transferred LC with him. So he would supply the goods to actual applicant, or you can say that the actual buyer, and submits the second beneficiary can submit the documents to the transferring bank and claim under transferred LC to the extent of his transferred amount. Thus, the supplier obtains a large measure of control over the payment procedure. A transferable LC is also beneficial for the trader, because it allows the trader to provide suppliers a LC security without using traders' own banking facilities. So obviously, we have already discussed that transferable LC helps a trader to provide funding towards goods supply. So far we have seen what is transferable LC, and what is the need for transferable LC, and what is the advantage of transferable LC. So now we will discuss what is the risk and cost involved in transferable LC, and we will see how does this transferable LC work, and we will see what are the major points to be considered in case of transferable LC. So let us go into that. So what is the risk and cost of transferable LC? A transferable LC involves extra risks and costs to the original applicant, the buyer to whom the goods are finally destined. The buyer accepts the risk of receiving goods from a third party, unknown supplier, without having previous business dealings, because applicant or buyer will not be able to know who actually is the original supplier, because he doesn't deal with that second beneficiary. So he knows only intermediary trader, and in turn intermediary trader knows the supplier of the goods, but buyer will never come to know, or buyer doesn't know exactly who is the actual supplier. So basically there is a risk of third party unknown supplier without having previous business dealing when buyer deals under transferable LC. This is the risk to the buyer. If a LC is transferred, more people are involved, and documents have to be examined accordingly and mailed twice before they reach the issuing bank. So this is the peculiar problem with transferable LC, because if first beneficiary transfer the LC to more than one second beneficiary, so 2, 3, 4 second beneficiaries will be there, and they all will dispatch the goods to the applicant, and they will submit the documents, and documents has to travel to first transferring bank, then transferring bank will send the documents to LC issuing bank. So there is a risk involved in the handling of the documents and checking of the documents. So that risk basically importer, or you can say that applicant, carries. This increases the risk of loss and error along the way, and the greater difficulties involved in controlling the operation carried out under a transferable LC may also increase the risk of fraud. So these are the risks involved in transferable LC, and these all risks basically ultimately applicant carries. A large part of this risk ultimately falls on the original applicant, who undertakes to reimburse the issuing bank provided that a complying presentation has been made. So now we will see how does this transferable LC work. Let me share my screen. So here we go. The applicant, who is the buyer, and the beneficiary, who is the intermediary trader, conclude their individual contract and agree that the applicant will request its bank to issue a LC in favor of the beneficiary that is designated as transferable. This word transferable is critical. So both applicant, that is buyer, and beneficiary, first beneficiary we can say, that is the intermediary trader, they both agreed that they would work under LC, and that LC will be a transferable LC. So the applicant requests its working capital bank to issue a irrevocable transferable LC. The LC issuing bank verifies applicant's LC limit, and when they find that everything is okay and there is a limit available, and they are comfortable with the transaction, they send the LC to a advising bank in the beneficiary's country and nominates a transferring bank. So the advising bank receives the LC and advises the LC to the first beneficiary, who is basically intermediary trader. The first beneficiary requests the bank authorized to transfer, which in most cases will be the advising bank only, to transfer part of the LC to a supplier of the goods, that is second beneficiary, in the same country or in another country from whom the goods are to be obtained to fulfill its contract with the applicant. So after receiving the transferable LC, first beneficiary will request the bank authorized to make the transfer to transfer part of that LC to the actual supplier of the goods, that we call here as a second beneficiary. So at the request of the first beneficiary, the transferring bank, if agreeable, makes the transfer part of the LC available to the second beneficiary. So here we need to consider the word that it is not necessary that first beneficiary has requested the bank to transfer and that transferring bank will transfer the LC in favor of second beneficiary. That is not the case, because the discretionary lies with the transferring bank whether they do want to transfer the LC or not. A bank is under no obligation to transfer a LC except to the extent and in the manner expressly consented by that bank. So it is very clear from this that the bank, the transferring bank, has got no obligation to transfer a LC except to the extent and in the manner expressly consented to by the bank. That means the fact that a LC is designated as a transferable does not give the first beneficiary the right to insist that it should be transferred to another beneficiary. That rights is not available with the first beneficiary. That rights are available with the transferring bank. Rather, it grants the transferring bank a discretion to transfer it or not. The transferring bank accordingly has no obligation to transfer the LC if it does not wish to do so. If it agrees to carry out a transfer, it also has an absolute discretion to decide on the extent of the transfer to which it will consent and the manner in which it is prepared to carry it out. Means transferring bank, even if they decide to transfer the LC in favor of second beneficiary, they can do it at their own terms and condition. So they can say that these are the things which we do not want to convey to the second beneficiary. So they may put their own condition, restrictions, some restriction to safeguard their interest. So it is up to the transferring bank on what terms and condition they want to transfer the LC. The transferred part of the LC is advised to the second beneficiary by the transferring bank. The name of the first beneficiary may be substituted for that of the applicant in the LC. So in case it is needed, the name of the first beneficiary, who is the beneficiary in original LC, the name of the first beneficiary may be substituted for that of the applicant in the LC. We are talking about the transferred LC to the second beneficiary. The second beneficiary, after receiving the LC, that is transferred LC, they ship the goods in accordance with the requirement of the transferred LC. The second beneficiary prepares the documents as per transferred LC. The documents include the second beneficiary's invoice together with the second beneficiary's draft if called for. If LC needs submission of draft, then second beneficiary will submit the draft also along with other documents and invoice, second beneficiary's invoice. So as per UCP, presentation of documents by or on behalf of a second beneficiary must be made to the transferring bank. The second beneficiary presents the documents to the transferring bank. The second beneficiary's invoice and draft show the first beneficiary's source of supply and the amount that the first beneficiary has paid for the goods. So this is important that in case we see the draft of or invoice of second beneficiary, applicant who is the actual buyer will come to know from where first beneficiary has procured the goods and what is the amount he has paid for those goods and what is the amount he has paid to the first beneficiary or intermediate trader. So to avoid the applicant obtaining this information, invoice and draft of second beneficiary are substituted for those of the first beneficiary. Thus, the invoice and draft, if any, of the first beneficiary together with all of the other documents are sent to the issuing bank by the transferring bank nominated bank. So these two documents of second beneficiaries, that is draft and invoice, needs to be substituted by the draft and invoice of the first beneficiary. So after substitution, when first beneficiary submits his draft and invoice to the transferring bank will change the documents. He will replace the second beneficiary's invoice and draft with first beneficiary's invoice and draft, and they will submit the documents to the LC issuing bank. After receipt of documents, LC issuing bank scrutinizes the same. When an issuing bank determines that a presentation is complying, it honors. The transferring bank, nominated bank, receives the full bill amount as per original LC from the LC issuing bank. Thus, first beneficiary gets his profit margin amount, total original value minus second beneficiary's bill amount, and second beneficiary's gets value of his supply goods. So thus entire transferable LC gets completed. So friends, so far we have covered what is transferable LC, what is the need of transferable LC, what is the advantage of transferable LC, what is the risk involved in the transferable LC, and how does this transferable LC work. Due to time constraint, I have to split this video in two parts. So this is first part. Part 2 of this video will be coming out very soon, where I'll be covering important points to be considered while dealing with the transferable LC. That is very critical for all of us. And also I'll be covering workflow for transferable LC. So these two topics I will cover in my next video. So my request to all of you is to watch my second video also. If you feel that this video has given value to you, I will request you to like and share this video. I will also request you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that in future, whenever I come out with such videos on various trade finance related topics, you will get the notification immediately. Thank you for sparing time with me. Thank you so much.